Today on This Week in Startups, Jessica Ma, the CEO and founder of Indinero. We've got another pitch in the Shark Tank, and in the news is the government stifling Uber Cabs innovation. All that is happening now and more on This Week in Startups.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
And hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another This Week in Startups, number 89, 11 shows away from the big 100.
Very special guest.
I haven't even thought about it because I don't even know when does 11 weeks take us till?
At 2 per week, that's a month from now. It's Thanksgiving.
All right. My 40th birthday coming up. You may have noticed that Tyler and I look very pretty today. We put on makeup. This weekend has a makeup person now.
Yeah.
I think like 3 days a week they're going to do makeup in our show. Look at how beautiful you look, Tyler. Now, let me ask you a question. When you clear a clean-shaven head like that, I'm not even shining up here anymore. Remember I used to shine up here on the big forehead? When you've got, the shaved head, when you go into makeup, how far back do they go?
It's what is it, airbrush?
He airbrushes it now, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it felt nice.
Felt nice though, right? It feels like a very moist, like you're getting some kind of a spa treatment. I'm going to look for this means I'm basically wearing makeup twice a week.
Right.
But don't I look pretty? Look at that. The makeup. Now I know why girls wear makeup.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Someone has to cue that I'm so pretty next time.
I feel so pretty.
Yes.
There's a song I feel so pretty. Boy, we've got a good show today. Great guest, and we're going to switch up the order a little bit. We're going to have the guest first, and then we're going to go to the Shark Tank, and then we'll have Lon come in and do the news. If you want to come to the launch conference and you're an Uber fan, if you check in 10 times during the live show, you get a free ticket. I'm going to do that for the first 100 people who do it. I'm not sure how many people have accomplished it, but you just get in the Ustream chat room and check in. Thank you to .co for supporting the show. They're at DOTCO on Twitter, and over 500,000, wow, they crossed the 500,000 mark, .co domains have been registered. Tweet us your .co name that you've purchased with the #twist hashtag, and we'll pick the ones we like best, and we'll treat you to it, which means we'll basically give you the whatever it costs. I think it's $29 or something to get a premium domain like that. You can actually get them on GoDaddy. And of course, people know what this means. It means create your own opportunity. .co is the new web address that gives you a truly global, recognizable, incredible option for branding your online presence. You may not know this, but VentureHacks is launched at angel.co. Angel List. I use that a lot. I get a lot of people requesting meetings through Angel List now. I take every one of them. Open Angel Forum is coming to San Francisco, I believe, next week. And then Seattle the week after. So go to openangelforum.com and apply. And I'm going to be looking at some companies later, I think.
First time in Seattle.
Seattle is our 8th and final city of the year. And then next year we'll add 4 more. Shanghai, Tel Aviv. Then maybe 2 others. I know we're definitely going to do Shanghai because we have to have something in Asia. And that seems like the place to do it. Tel Aviv seems like the place to do it.
No-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. And then there's 2 more. So basically people have to lobby, and some people are saying Austin, some people are saying D.C., some people are saying San Diego, some people are saying Chicago, Midwest, somewhere. Yep. Ohio, I don't know. Austin is an obvious one, Texas. But, there has to be at least 20 or so angel investors in the community, maybe 15. Part of what I'm thinking is we may have to train people to be angel investors. So we're thinking about doing a thing before OAF and after OAF. Before OAF being for people who want to learn how to be an angel investor. And then after AOF being a general cocktail party that, go to a bar near the Open Angel Forum and everybody can hang out because everybody wants to hang out afterwards and meet the companies and the angels, so they can just have drinks afterwards. What do you think of those ideas?
Yeah, a lot of people feel like it's being exclusionary, and the idea is to try and do both, and I love the context of it's a meeting, it's not an event that you're not invited to. It's like we're scheduling a meeting between
angel investors
for a very specific function. It's not an event per se.
Right.
It's not like there's people there talking and you're learning. It's a meeting.
Right. You're just like, there's a meeting between these investors and these startups to see if they want to invest. And so it's ironic we call it Open Angel Forum.
Right.
But it's fabulously closed.
Right.
Because the only people who could be in the room are the angels who are investing currently, not even like old angels. They have to be like angels that are currently have money to invest, and companies that are actively raising money. So after Open Angel Forum would be for anybody. Cocktail party. We'll probably do that the first time.
Because it's really about celebrating startups and in the most functional, productive way. Like get some funding happening, not some
cocktail party.
Yeah, where most of the events that are built around this purpose tend to be rather
a panel or something
unstructured and ego-driven or whatever. Yeah,
it's not a schmooze fest. It's an actual meeting to try to get some accomplished. So after OAF, we'll probably do next week when we're there.
So it's like, no offense, but if you're not coming to plan to write a check,
don't come.
This is not it's not the meeting for you.
It's not the meeting for you.
Yeah.
It's a meeting amongst people who are raising money.
Right.
Our next guest has raised from money from really impressive people. And when they give you like a list of all the possible people you could have on the show. I get like a rundown from the producer, Dina, who's doing a wonderful job, by the way. And, I'm going down the list and I'm like, I don't know this person, this person's not successful enough. I'm pretty picky who I want to have on the show. And so I see somebody I've never heard of, Jessica Ma from Indinero.
I've heard of her.
I never heard of her.
I
maybe I've met her. Jessica, are you there on the line?
Yeah.
Hey, Jessica, how are you doing? Have we met before?
I don't think we met, but I've seen you at the TED conference.
Playing poker at the TED conference in the lobby, making money. That's I don't actually go to the conference itself. It's $6,000. But anyway, Jessica, I get a list of all the different potential guests on the show, and I say, oh wow, it's a female. That's great. We've been trying to get female CEOs and founders. Not enough of those. And so I said, oh well, let me take a look here. And I look down in the details, and I see backed by Y Combinator. Wow. Jeremy, Yelp's founder, wow. Dave McClure, wow. Microsoft, Fritz Landman, good friend of ours, wow. Intuit's David Wu, wow. Keith
Rabois,
yeah. We know him. And Jared Jawid from YouTube, the sort of unknown YouTube founder who stayed in school, who got like a half share, I believe. Those other guys got like 300 million. I think he only got like 100 million. He got like a third share.
Really,
Jessica, how much did he make exactly?
I don't know. I just looked him up, and it's like tens of millions of dollars just for him.
Yeah, exactly. So welcome to the program, and tell us, what is Indinero?
Indinero is the easiest way for any business to manage their money online. So think Mint.com, but for businesses, and we launched it just a few months ago, and it works by if you're a small business owner, you go to the website, you sign up, you enter in all your bank and credit card credentials, and then we're going to start bringing your data into our system.
And so why would I do this? I mean, I understand the value proposition of Mint is I can visualize my data better, and maybe I guess the promise of Mint was supposed to be that they would actually tell you what to do with your money or how to save money, or maybe you could get a better credit card or a better savings account. What is the purpose of taking the time to hook up my Bank of America or my Silicon Valley Bank account to Indinero?
Well, the real problem is that most business owners don't do anything to manage their money. I mean, a lot of our customers, before we met them, they're using either a spreadsheet or maybe they just go to their bank website, and that's pretty much all they do. So they don't know how much they're spending in all their categories. They don't know like what their available cash balance is even. It's pretty disturbing. So we wanted to make it just dirt easy for any of them to start tracking their money.
And what's your background and why did you start the company? Did you have a family member or a friend who had a small business who needed help and you built this for them, or do you have a small business background?
Well, actually, my co-founder and I had backgrounds in computer science, and we started this business because we knew that as entrepreneurs working on smaller businesses in the past, we've had this problem firsthand.
Wouldn't people use like a QuickBooks or something like that to manage their money and their finances, or is this for people who maybe aren't up to using QuickBooks, or what's the other one? Intuit.
Yeah, well, I mean, we thought that everyone used QuickBooks. Like they're the market leader. They have 95% market share. But it ends up that we talked to dozens of business owners, and virtually none of them use QuickBooks themselves. It's always their bookkeeper or accountant who keeps the QuickBooks file on their behalf.
And so you joined Y Combinator. Were you a Y Combinator company? Is that the start of the company?
Yeah.
So when did you apply, and how was that process?
We applied back in March of this year, and it was a really easy process. I didn't think we were going to apply to Y Combinator at all, but we spoke to Drew Houston from Dropbox, and he really encouraged us to apply. He said it'd be the best thing ever, and we still weren't convinced, but we put in our application, and we got in, and we decided it'd be a great thing to go for.
How hard is it to fill out the application, apply, and get selected? Were there 1,000 people who apply every year? Do you know how many people applied this year, for example?
I don't know how many people applied this year, and I don't think the acceptance rate really matters. I remember thinking to myself that I was pretty positive that we'd get in because we had a product, we had paying customers, and we had a team of a bunch of coders, so why wouldn't we get in?
I think that's probably the right attitude to have. So that's not the typical Y Combinator experience, though, of having your team assembled and having the product and having customers, is it?
I don't think it's typical. I know in our batch, most people didn't have a product and many didn't even have an idea going into the program. But for us, we had everything rolling already, and we looked at all the other really successful YC companies. And Airbnb and Dropbox, they were working on their product for months before even applying. So we thought if we wanted to be one of the more successful companies, it made a lot of sense that we already made a lot of progress.
And so you must have looked at this and said, we can raise an angel round, we have a product and customers, or we can go to Y Combinator and give, I guess, whatever it is, 6 or 7% of the company to those guys. It's common stock from what I understand, not preferred. Did you and your founders have a discussion about that? Is it worth giving up 6% of the company, and had you raised angel money already?
We didn't raise any angel money yet, and we didn't have any connections. We were just fresh out of college, so I thought Y Combinator would be a good stepping stone. And even if I had a bunch of connections, I felt that Y Combinator was the best insurance that only equity could purchase. If we were in Y Combinator, we'd have a better network and more access and more competition for a deal. And I just thought it made a lot of sense.
So basically, the decision to go into Y Combinator was to get that Y Combinator glow, perhaps, more than the 10 weeks of dinners.
It's a combination of everything. To be honest, we didn't exactly know what we were getting into, but we looked at really successful founders and realized that it made sense to them, and it probably makes sense for us, especially if we're first-time entrepreneurs.
So take me through the application process. You fill out some sort of print application or some online application, and then you go for an interview with Paul Graham or something?
So you fill out a long web application. You do a little video clip just to show Paul and everyone else who you are. And then you get invited to an interview, which lasts 10 minutes long. And then you get a phone call later that day if you get in, and you accept or turn them down right there and then. And then the first breakfast is the next morning.
Oh, wow. So wait. During the interview, you have to accept in that moment?
No. We were interviewed at maybe 10 a.m. and we got a phone call at about 5 p.m. the same day.
Oh, wow. And so then you go to the breakfast, and what is it, 10, 12 weeks of dinners that you go to? Or dinner meetings?
So just dinner with all the founders.
And what happens at the dinners? Because we have a lot of entrepreneurs watching the program. There's this whole mystique about Y Combinator. So take me through what happens at a dinner.
It's like college. You show up and everyone's new, and there's a feeling of co-opetition. You really want to be friends with everyone, but you also want to be the best startup out of all the other companies in your batch. And during dinners, you watch a speaker talk for maybe an hour, and then after that, you just hang out with the other founders and talk about the problems and challenges you're facing and it's just a really great network.
And so you get to the end, you demo the product at the demo day, and you raised over $1 million in seed funding, huh?
Yeah, I think we raised more than most companies in our batch.
And were those all investors who came to the demo day?
No, a lot of them we met through our earlier angel investors. Like we might meet a few through Y Combinator, and then we take those angels and say, hey, who do you guys know, and who do you think we could take money from? And so we got those introductions, and there were a few random people, like Fritz Landman sent me a cold email telling me that he was interested. And Dave McClure, I know because everyone knows him. And
yeah.
So there are a few random guys in there.
So did Fritz invest or did Microsoft invest?
Fritz
personally invested. So when you have to make a decision to have somebody from a big corporation involved, did you think that through and say, wow, do I want to have a Microsoft person involved? Are they going to steal the idea? Or, were there any concerns like that? Do we want a corporation that close to us?
No, I didn't think we had that concern at all. Maybe I'm just a completely naive fundraiser in that regard, but yeah. I don't think that really mattered at all.
Well, it's not like they have some massive insight into the business anyway. It's not like they're putting in a small angel investment. They get to see everything you do and the code and everything.
Right.
And so how is the product doing today? How many customers do you have, and how does it make money?
Well, today it's doing pretty well. We just moved into our new office, which we're in right now, and we have 7 people full-time. And we have over 6,000 business owners using our product today. And we make money by charging for our product. It's a freemium service. It starts free, and then there's a $30 plan and then a $100 plan.
And so you go with a freemium approach, and you have 6,000 customers already. How did you get the 6,000 customers? Did you do SEM? Did you do Facebook advertising, social media, word of mouth, buy lists?
Word of mouth and a lot of press. Like I looked at what Mint.com did, and their entire strategy revolved mainly around PR at first. So we pretty much copied them on that, and it's been working out really well.
So what was their strategy? Unpack that for me a little bit. What is the PR strategy? You hire a big, expensive PR firm, or did you just look at their blog? And what was the strategy?
Well, I looked at their blog, and I thought that, well, I know that a lot of their new users came from their blog, but we obviously don't have the time and resources to invest in our blog right now. But they got written up in all this mainstream press, like not TechCrunch or Mashable, but like New York Times and Wall Street Journal. And I thought, all right, if we get into those publications, then maybe we could really grow our user base in a really cheap way. And so that's what we've been doing.
And how do you go about getting into the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal? Do you just randomly email somebody over there? Do you get an introduction from one of your angel investors?
Combination of both. I think Inc. Magazine, we got an intro through Jessica Livingston at Y Combinator. New York Times was just a cold pitch. The tech blogs, just cold pitches. So
cold pitch in the form of an email?
Yeah, just an email.
And what do you put in the subject line? What do you say? And take us through your marketing and reaching out to journalists, because a lot of startups are on the people who are starting companies. It's not really obvious. What do you write in an email? Like, we're incredible, or do you send them a press release? What does the email say?
When we first launched, I actually didn't write the email. Paul Graham did. We went to the whiteboard at Y Combinator, and he said, all right, you guys are ready to launch. Let's talk about your product. What's catchy about it? Why are business owners going to use this? And why doesn't anyone use QuickBooks? So you wrote down a bunch of random notes and put together just one paragraph summing up why people are going to use Dinero versus what Intuit has. And we sent that out to TechCrunch and a bunch of other tech blogs, and that's launched. And then all the future press after that, I basically copied Paul. I came up with that one paragraph story and sent that out to everyone I knew.
And take me through your freemium strategy. How did you design it? I mean, did Paul Graham design that as well, or did you steal that from another company? How did you get how did you create the freemium? How did you know $30, $100? What features to make free? What features to put in the $30 or the $100 package?
We're still trying to figure it out, but I looked at what cell phone carriers are doing, because cell phone plans are tiered such that the more you use the service, the more money you pay, and that makes sense. And so our freemium model is based on how many transactions do you have. If you're a small freelance business and you only have like one client, then you probably want a free account. But if you're a big business and you have thousands of transactions, then you could probably afford to pay $100. And like this, it's the first version. We haven't iterated since launch, and I'm sure you could improve on it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at your page right now. It looks like those classic 37 signals pages where you sort of narrow down the tyranny of choice to 3 very clear choices with fun names. You have the solo, which is 50 monthly transactions, the small business, and you put the most popular plan there, and that's 500 monthly transactions, and then you go on to enterprise, top of the line, unlimited transactions for $100, and the second word there and the naming of them, from new entrepreneurs to most popular to top of the line, very strategic, right? In terms of putting that sort of descriptor there.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, a lot of inspiration from 37 Signals.
I think when you do that, Tyler, don't you think it becomes sort of aspirational? You're like, oh, well, you know, like if I come to it, I'm like, oh, I want the top of the line.
Like playing to the ego, yeah.
Totally
Very
playing
clever.
to the ego, like.
Yeah.
But then, you know, like you don't have to feel so bad about taking the middle one, because it's like, well, it is the most popular plan. So if it's the most popular, then taking it, there's safety in numbers. It's only $30, you know.
You could call the first one cheapskate, and then it'd have this like a negative ego play to it.
Well, I mean, actually, solo, new entrepreneurs. It's sort of like, hey, you can dip your toe, and then this, you know, great value proposition. I think that this is one of the great things that people should know about being an entrepreneur. You know, immature entrepreneurs copy, mature entrepreneurs steal. You know, like if somebody's got a great idea, like how to lay out the payment plan, like 37 Signals does, you just take it. It's not that big of a deal. You know, they're only going to be flattered that you did it. And if somebody else has a better model for marketing, like Mint, trust me, Aaron from Mint is going to be thrilled to hear when he listens to the show. He's going to be so flattered that, oh my God, a new startup is looking at our playbook. Yeah. I mean, when I hear something like that, somebody attributes something to what we did at Weblogs Inc. or Mahalo or This Week In or whatever it is. Gosh, it always feels great. You know, like, oh, that's nice.
And it works too. Like, I didn't think it'd be so easy. Like, I was watching David Hannemeyer Hansen from 37 Signals talk about charging for a product, and that was back when we were trying to figure out our pricing strategy, and I thought it can't be that easy. Like, David's just a crazy guy trying to make it seem easy to run a profitable business. But we started charging, and we quickly became ramen profitable during the Y Combinator process.
If you charge a modest price and it's monthly, it's easy to get into and easy to understand, and it's a well-designed product, yeah, I think David's right. You can. Now, I guess the question for you and the challenge for you that I'm sure your angel investors are talking to you about is, how do you scale the business? Is that the next thing you're trying to do, is reach scale, or what's the next what's the next hurdle that you need to get past?
After fundraising, the next biggest hurdle was hiring. Yeah. We haven't hired before because we just recruited our close friends from college. And so that was really difficult, and we're still going through that right now. And of course, that's because we just want to build out more to our product and get more customers. And so right now we're looking at tax season. It's coming up in just a few months, and we're hoping that our product's ready for that.
Yeah. And how is the hiring process going? I mean, it's incredibly competitive in the Valley to hire people. I'm assuming you need developers like everybody else. How do you convince somebody to come work for a first-time entrepreneur who's, I'm guessing you and your partners are in 21 or 22 years old? What happens when you try to hire somebody with 10 years experience and a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old comes in and says, I'm going to go work for these 22-year-olds with, you know, less than $1 million in the bank?
Well, we just hired someone last weekend I think he's 34 years old, and he was the lead designer at LinkedIn and YouTube, and then he was making 6 figures at Google. And it was really hard to hire him. It took me 5 months to talk to him, and we made sure we brought him in to hang out with the rest of our team. And I think the convincing factor was for him, as a designer, he just wants a place that will give him creative freedom, and he'll be able to have ownership over the product. And people care more about that than anything else I've found.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. So any questions, Tyler, or any questions from the chat room? If you have a question for our guest, just put Q question, a Q colon in the Ustream chat room, or tweet it with #twist. Any questions, Tyler?
Not a question, but that's a really good point, which is people are often, especially ones who have gone through Google, and they're really motivated by freedom and autonomy to be able to do and focus on what is important to them, like on an emotional basis more than a financial basis.
Yeah, and also maybe actually ship a product or actually see their work viewed. I mean, sometimes you could work at a Google or a Microsoft or Yahoo or any company, AOL, large company, News Corp, and build something incredible, and then it gets shelved. I mean, it happens every day at those companies.
Yeah.
I see a question from the audience from Jordan. He says, "Hi, Jessica. Can you describe your product development strategy?"
Sure. Our product development strategy is, it actually starts with what we want our PR to look like. So, for example, right now we look at tax time and we think, all right, we need to build some features around tax time. And then right now I'm the only designer along with this guy we just hired. So like he and I would just design out what we think needs to be designed. Then we'll code up a quick prototype. And lately we've been going around to our customers in person to watch them use our product. And that's been the best place to get feedback. And then after that, we just launch it.
So what I'm hearing there is a twofold product strategy, if I may recap. The first is thinking about what would float with the press, what the press might consider buzzy or interesting to cover, and actually build that as one of the next features. And then second, doing what people in the industry call a listening lab, going and visiting a customer. Some people call it a focus group. Really, a listening lab is what you're talking about, one-on-one. And how have those two things worked for you, the listening labs and the and thinking about what the press will key off of? Successful so far?
Yeah, very successful so far. But I mean, again, that comes from the Mint.com playbook. So, and like other successful startups, we're just looking at what they did and taking that process and bringing it over here.
Awesome. Any other questions from the chat room of note? I'm looking. Did you get, talk about, this is from Reloom, talk about why she thinks they got turned down from Techstars and accepted to Y Combinator. Is this true?
We got accepted into Techstars for the summer, but we got rejected from Techstars a year ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you got rejected from Techstars a year ago, then whatever, a couple of months after that, 6 months after that, you got accepted into Y Combinator?
A full year later.
Full year later.
Right.
And so what was the difference, do you think? Just the product wasn't where it needed to be? The idea wasn't as good?
I think that David Cohen wasn't excited about Andy and I not having graduated from college back then. He thought we had 1 year left. Why not just go through that last year and then apply again? And then we'd probably get in. And so that's what we did. And then we got into Techstars and we got into Y Combinator the same day. So.
And you picked Y Combinator over Techstars. Why?
I just thought that the network might be better since we plan on staying out in Silicon Valley. So if we did Techstars, we'd have to move all the way out to Boulder for the summer. Yeah. And then we'd probably move back to Silicon Valley in the fall. So we probably wouldn't get to take advantage of their network nearly as much.
Well, continued success, and thanks for coming on the program. It's Indinero.com, which is INDINERO, and you're at Indinero on Twitter, correct?
Yep.
And people can follow you at Jessica Ma, I'm assuming? Mm-hmm. And if they would like a job at Indinero, they just email Jessica at Indinero.
Sure.
There you go. So anybody who's listening to the program, 100,000 people who download it, email Jessica at once, tell her what job you would like to have, and you'll be working at in De Niro. Thanks for being so honest about the Y Combinator experience and telling us a little bit about your playbook and where you got it from. Very honest, good information, and continued success.
Well, thanks so much, Jason.
Take care now. Wow, that was a great guest. I mean, just totally honest, and it's amazing to think about the caliber of these young entrepreneurs. I mean, they are coming to the game with a knowledge level that took previously 5 years to learn this stuff. Like, it took me 5 or 10 years to realize, God, if you see some good idea, just take it, you know? Or it took me 5 or 10 years to understand how to do the marketing stuff she's talking about, like, just off the top of her head. Incredible what Y Combinator and I guess the various resources that are out there, like Techstars, does. Also, Hacker News and just people talking about stuff, blogs. It's a completely different world for entrepreneurs today than it was in the 90s.
Yeah, she actually has a real good sense of PR and buzz and whatever. Like, I see her name popping up quite a bit and in De Niro. Yeah.
Definitely savvy in that regard. I mean, one of the things when she talked about like building the features you think the press will key off of. I mean, we've been talking about that for years. Like, what is the thing that the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or the TechCrunch reporter / blogger is going to say, oh, that's cool. You know, like, and even creating the TechCrunch 50 conference, we thought about, oh, well, how do we get press for this? Oh, if it's different than demo and if it has a prize. And you're just sort of like thinking about what features the press will key off of, even if those aren't the features that people use every day and get the most value from.
And they don't necessarily have to be awesome in the, like, groundbreaking sense. They can actually be crazy. Because press, if you have a very novel, it's more about novelty than...
Yeah, it's almost like it could be corny or it could be clever or just, you know, not obvious. But just some little weird feature makes people go, oh, wow, you know, that's clever. I'm trying to think of an example of that, but what would be an example of that, like in a YouTube or in a Gmail? Like, what is the feature that everybody uses, but the feature that the press would be like, oh, this is so important?
The new one right now that I can't believe it took this long to get here, is this new Gmail thing called Email Oracle. Which
what is that?
It's so good you don't want to tell people about it. It lets you track to see when people have opened your Gmails.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a plugin.
It's a Gmail plugin.
Oh, but it just puts a little tracking pixel in the email?
It puts a 1 pixel tracking, invisible pixel in your Gmail.
Email Oracle. Oh, my God. And that's a plugin, though, for Gmail. That's not like Gmail made it themselves.
Correct.
This is why you never click on, always allow images from a person.
Exactly.
Because when you do that, then they know when you open. I mean, that's the whole trick.
Yeah.
Let's do a Shark Tank.
I need money. What I want, that's what I want. That's what I want. What I want. That's what I want.
Yes. Time to do a Shark Tank. And Shark Tank, thankfully, is brought to you today by GoDaddy. GoDaddy. Man, do I love GoDaddy. I've been using those guys for a decade. And let me tell you something. If there was a better service, I would switch to it like that. Tyler knows that. I'm not going to stick around if it's not number one.
I don't know. You've got like 10,000 domains in there. I don't see you switching
I would say
soon.
low, but you could switch with one click. I mean, that's the truth about switching domains.
Truth is,
you could switch with just a click. I mean, they make all these export services, import services, but no, I'm loyal to GoDaddy because they have been good to me. 99% uptime, starting at less than $5 a month, 24-hour support, and free access to the GoDaddy hosting connection. They offer web hosting and unlimited disk space and bandwidth for less than $15 a month. I have thousands of domains there. I love to use the bulk feature. I register domains in bulk. I'll just take an Excel spreadsheet. I'll come up with, like, on a plane ride, I'll be playing 4 tables of poker and then writing domain name possibilities over here. Boom, I just go buy them. I let them sit. And I might sell one out of like every 200 or 300 domains and pay for the other 200 or 300 for that year. It's just pure, straight up speculation and gambling on my part.
The other cool thing about bulk, though?
The bulk registrar.
The bulk thing is they give you free private ability if you do more than 5 at a time.
Yes, you can, and this is a key thing. Like, a guy like me doesn't want people to know what domains he's registering, because then somebody's going to do a blog post on TechCrunch. Oh my God, Serpico is, you know, something with Sheryl Sandberg, and he's buying these domain names around Facebook or whatever. Like, I bought these domain names around Twitter when it first came out. Like, I own stock Twitter, car Twitter, auto Twitter, because I thought, oh, you know, maybe someday I'll make a Twitter account about those things, and I got the Twitter accounts for them. Anyway, I bought all those on GoDaddy, and somebody offered me $25 grand for stock Twitter. I mean, it's unbelievable. Go over to GoDaddy and enter the code TWIST, 749. What does the 749 stand for? Well, when you check out, you're going to get your domains for $7.49. Some restrictions apply. Like, I mean, I'm sure if you have 18 other coupons, you can't put them all together. But get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy. And hey, when you're there, get a .co domain, because they sell those. Thank you to @GoDaddy. Thank you to .co. Which is .co on .co on Twitter. Thank them, put #twist at the end, and we're going to give you a free domain. If you do that, we'll pick a couple people to do that. Not every single person, but we'll pick a couple people every week. On the line, we have Steve Faulkner. Steve, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can hear you great.
I can hear you 5x5. It looks like you're a little dark there. Can you turn your laptop brightness up and your keyboard brightness up, and then we'll see your face? If you're on a Mac. That's my little trick.
Try to turn it up a little bit.
It's also the white background behind you is fooling the camera.
There you go. Oh, now we can see your face. Beautiful. Okay, Steven, where are you calling from?
Madison, Wisconsin.
From Wisconsin. Very nice.
Yeah.
And have you, is this the first episode of the show, or have you listened to previous episodes?
No, I've been a big fan of the show for a long time. I listened to almost every episode. And I've actually talked to Tyler on the phone once. He was gracious enough. I emailed him at about midnight, and he called me and spent 45 minutes walking through a previous startup with mine.
Wow, look at Tyler adding value to
Which startup was that?
It was called GeoHuddle. It was Community Geothermal Energy Systems.
Wow.
I don't remember that one.
GeoHuddle. I love that idea. Is that what you're going to pitch today?
No, it's actually a different startup. This is a tech play. GeoHuddle's a little longer term, and it's.
I love that idea, though. So you're basically with GeoHuddle, you basically get a bunch of people together to build a house near each other, and then split the cost of doing geothermal. Is that correct?
That's pretty much exactly what it is. Yep.
That's when you know you have a great name. When it's not.
Yeah, you can.
When I can describe the business, and that's when you also know you have a good business idea. That people are this close to thinking of it or understanding it. It's sort of like in the collective conscious, the Carl Jung collective unconscious. But when somebody says the name, you're like, oh, GeoHuddle. We're all huddling around geothermal, which has got it. What does geothermal cost to put into a home? Like 50 grand, 100 grand?
For average homes, like 30 grand at a minimum. I mean, it can get upwards of 100 grand for like a 3,000 square foot home.
So if you have 100,000, let's say you have 100,000 square foot homes in the same proximity, you just have to install 2 of them instead of 4?
You can also do it all at once and bring your installation costs way down with the drilling and things like that. It's pretty economical.
Awesome. Okay, well, you are going to pitch us on the Shark Tank. You have 60 seconds. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
3, 2, 1, go.
So, marketing for local small businesses is a huge pain. You spend a bunch of money on expensive ads. It's hard to gauge how well or even if they work. And the worst part is that your customers trickle in over weeks or even months. So that's where my business comes in. Real-time texts. It's every small business's marketing dream. Let's say you own a bar and having a slow Wednesday night. You don't need an ad campaign. You need customers in your door right now. Our text message marketing service can do that in a matter of minutes or even hours. What we do is work with a local small business to send out a unique and exclusive deal via text message, such as show this text tonight between 10 and 11 p.m. for a free drink. Boom, you got customers in your door right now. Simply put, we're transforming the way small businesses acquire customers. You can pay-per-click online, so why not pay per customer in the real world? So check us out at realtimetext.com. No E in the text, that's TXTS.
Wow, you did that super quick. I was taking notes while you were doing it. I understood the idea well. I mean, you've obviously watched the Shark Tank before. You described a problem. Having come from the restaurant business myself, I remember, it'd be a Saturday night at my dad's bar in Brooklyn, and there'd only be 2 tables. And Tuesday, there had been 10 tables at 8 o'clock, and you're going, why? What's going on here? You just have these weird moments. And I'm telling you, when it's your family business and it's your bread and butter, it gets quite depressing. And we would pay $50 at that moment to try to get a couple tables filled, or $25. So I understand the pain point. I think even if you weren't in the restaurant businesses, you would understand it. You need to get people to sit in their chairs. It was almost a perfect pitch. I'm giving it an 8 or 9 on the pitch. What do you think on the pitch level, Tyler?
Pitch is
8.5?
Yeah, I was going to say, you know how I'm 8.5 on it. I would have tried to appeal more to the, I mean, there's 2 sides to this dynamic. There's the business and then the customer.
Yeah.
And you explained one side of that very well, which is not the people listening on average to this pitch. The people on average are thinking, what's in this for me more?
Yeah. So the supply versus the demand.
You sympathize or empathize with the business side because...
Right. But you actually might care about, like, well, what is his deal?
Yeah. What's in this for me?
Why should I give you my cell phone number to get the text?
Yeah.
Right. And
so how to...
And how to get all those people? Like, how do you get all those texts? I mean, aggregating that is going to cost money, et cetera.
But the key at the end of the pitch is to leave the person wanting to engage you with their questions, which you in fact did, because...
Right. So maybe it's even a 9.
Right.
So really, really well done on the pitch.
Yeah.
In terms of the idea, well, obviously you have Groupon, which is now released. Any business can offer any deal at any time. So you could have a standing Groupon for your business. If I am Froman's Deli, where I bought two $30 for $12 gift cards, they could put that up every 10 days, and they maybe on that side they're going to have enough demand, you know, and they could just turn it off when the restaurant's filled. If the restaurant starts to get to 50% capacity, they just do another Groupon for 1,000, and they sort of learn it. So I'm a little concerned about maybe this is not differentiated enough from something as simple and understandable as Groupon, and also I'm really concerned about how do you get all those texts, how do you get how many people to sign up, how do you get all those people, and I also want to hear a little bit more about that. So I'm going to give the idea a straight up 7.5, 8 range. What do you think about the idea?
There's operational issues. I like there's the opportunity to go really simple with this, right?
Yeah.
Like there's an inherent elegance to this, which you almost want to really play to its fullest extent. Like
yeah.
Groupon's great and everything, but in a lot of cases, simplicity will always trump, you know, other things.
Sure. The simpler the better.
Yes. So
Jason, I can address some of those questions if you want.
Yeah, well, let's get Tyler's score.
We're just unpacking this a little bit. It's like, I think if you really make a end run for the simplicity angle, being that it's SMS-based, which it seems like you're setting yourself up to
leading to a score.
Right, leading to a score of, I really like these ideas. It's going to be very difficult to pull off, but I'm captured by the idea, so I give the idea 8, 5, 9 as well.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. I'm going to ask everybody in the chat room. I see a 9/9 there already. Just put first number is in the Ustream chat room how the pitch was. Second number is how good the idea is. So you can just put 10/10 or 2/10, whatever you want to do. You heard our feedback. So Steve, do you like Steve or Steven?
Steve is fine.
So Steve, tell us, how do you, wow, look at the numbers there, 986675858876888887, 98788787877777. These are good numbers, just so you know, 9687. You're all in the top third of the numbers, so that's good. There's some people who are pretty curmudgeonly and hardcore.
You have nothing below a 7.
Right. Well, I did see a 6, but only one of them. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay,
I mean, basically, that's pretty good.
That's Giovanni, though.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us, how do you get all these cell phone numbers in order to send the text?
Well, so let me tell you about a little of what we're doing right now. So keeping it simple, like Tyler said, we just launched in Madison about 3 weeks ago. We're targeting only downtown bars.
It doesn't get simpler than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyler, please don't insult the good people of Madison.
I actually love
these are fine people, and you call them simple.
No, I'm not saying.
Last week, the R word.
That is a very cool artsy town. The band Garbage is from Madison, Wisconsin. I've been to Madison, Wisconsin. It's a very...
You're saying salt of the earth.
I would live there.
All right, keep going. How do you get all the... You launched there. How did you get... How many people do you have in your database? And how do you get them?
We had over 200 people sign up in the first week. I mean, that's how much people want something like this. I said, I'm only going to send you a text message once a week, so we build in some scarcity. That's something that wasn't in the pitch, but is definitely key to our business. We're not sending text messages out every other day. One of the other things that's key is it's all been social media, word of mouth. I mean, we've been going to bars. We've been talking to people, say, what bars do you want to go to? What kind of deals do you want to get? Just getting people excited about it. And we've had a lot of success so far.
How are you charging?
Yeah, what's the cost?
So the bars actually pay us. We've worked different deals with bars so far. Just to grow the list right now, we've done it mostly for free. I mean, I just go to the bar and say, hey, let's do it a couple times for free, see how you like it. And that helps us out because it gets people to talk about it and sign up. But the plan is eventually to charge something on the order of, I don't know, I would say like $1 per customer that comes in your store. So if you're going to get 50 customers in for the night as a result of our texting service, we'll charge you $50.
Okay. Well done and continued success. And what is the domain name?
So it's realtimetext.com, but there's no E in text. Unfortunately, that was not available.
Got it.
If you guys have recommendations for a better domain, I'm all ears because it's something we definitely struggled with when we first launched.
Real-time TXT.
TXTS, texts.
Oh, with a plural. Oh, God, even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need some help there, buddy. Also, so one tip in terms of domaining and naming domains, you're tying yourself to a technology right now, which is good in the short term but bad in the long term. And it's very literal, real-time text. So I would suggest you go with real-time customers or real-time deals, something like that. You know, real-time treasures. Because let's say text goes out and it's everybody's doing everything through Twitter or Facebook, or there's some new messaging technology that comes out, or people want to sign up by email. Like, I don't want text from you, but I will take the email because I got my BlackBerry on me all the time. There might be other people who feel that way. And also, I think you're limiting yourself by the number of deals you do per week. If I'm living in Madison, I'll take a deal every day. I'll take 2 a day. You know, if you have Santa Monica deals and Brentwood deals, literally twice a day. What do I gotta do? I hit delete, you know, if I don't like it. As long as they're high quality deals, people will want them 2, 3, 4 times a day if they're a deal type person. So you're gonna wanna put a variable on there, unlimited, once a week, once a day, as many as you got. Great job, we'll see you next time.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Cheers now. Let's get Lon in here and we'll do some news and then we're done. Boom. Yes, thank you to TriCaster for making wonderful technology. And thank you, the TriCaster is the hardware that lets us do all the video switching.
Sure.
And thank you to Storm On Demand for hosting 23 shows and zillions of files and a gazillion downloads. And we've never had a problem with Storm On Demand because we've had 100% uptime. And their customer service is flawless.
No complaints. StormOnDemand.com. Go check them out.
Storm on
Storm on Demand. He is the Viking voice.
Yes. Okay, so what's in the news?
Well, we should talk about Zynga. Shares of Zynga Game Network Inc., the company behind the smash hit social games Farmville, Frontierville, Texas Hold'em Poker, many more, currently valued at $5.51 billion on Shares Post, an exchange for shares in privately held companies. By point of comparison, Electronic Arts currently worth $5.16 billion on the NASDAQ, so Zynga potentially worth more than EA. Started 4 years ago by Mark Pincus, of course, controls an estimated third of the total market for virtual goods online. That market estimated this year at $1.6 billion. So is this a sign of things to come? Is the social networking entertainment market going to be bigger than the console market moving forward? Or is it like virtual shares versus real shares and not a good comparison?
The big issue here is another one of my friends is a billionaire now.
Yeah.
And it's just making my life more and more difficult because every time I go on vacation or go somewhere, 3 out of 7 of my friends or 4 out of 7 are flying there on private jets, and I'm on Southwest. And it's just getting more and more. I mean, the good news is I get a ride. But sometimes
one more ride.
But I am blown away because I was at dinner with Mark Pincus when he told me he was going to buy this poker thing. He asked me if I wanted to be an angel investor. Boom, I could kill myself. I literally would have made $100 million if I invested at that point, probably. But Mark Pincus is a tremendous entrepreneur, and casual games are bigger than console games in my mind because the number of people playing console games is going to be this, and the number of potential people to play casual games is this. I mean, your mom, my aunt, your niece, your cousin, somebody, whatever. You're going to play Farmville. You're going to play casual poker, but you're not going to invest in. I mean, I pick up an Xbox controller now, and it's got so many controls on it. I grew up with an Atari with a joystick and one button.
True, yeah.
You know, I wasn't even part of Nintendo. I was Atari. I can't even play these games. You know, it's so complicated. So, I mean,
that's a good point. There's a learning curve to the...
It's too much of an investment to get good at those games. It's not a big investment to play casual games. Of course, a casual game company would be bigger than Electronic Arts. However, in this short period of time is unbelievable. And what's happening in the world today and in business today is that the global market and technology and free-flowing funds makes it really easy to make a billion-dollar company. Or... you know, to get there quickly. Groupon, you know, quickest to $1 billion in revenue, Zynga, Twitter, Facebook. I mean, things are accelerating for everybody but me.
There's,
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, listen, we're doing fantastic. And
You're
somebody
gonna be
in the room's like, "What is your net worth?" I mean, not enough to get a jet, obviously.
Well, you'll get there.
There's one caveat that not to be the party pooper because Zynga deserves all of these points are well made, which is the amount of people who are in line to pay that amount for Zynga is incredibly small. So it's not a real market value for that. There are people who would pay $2,000 for Google stock right now. Right? No question. There's people who would pay that for Google right now. They don't have to because there's a huge marketplace for it. There's not the whole huge fluid marketplace for Zynga stock right now. Some people will pay whatever the share price is, $50 for it, but it's not.
So you're saying this is a second market aberration?
It's just,
in a way.
It's very low liquidity. The same thing happens in after hours on the NASDAQ.
Congratulations to Zynga. They do excellent work.
Yes, I don't mean to take any.
So the next story, we got to talk about Uber Cab. Disclaimer, you are an angel investor in the company. It allows you, of course, we talked about it before, hire a car using your phone, then you watch it come and pick you up. So the San Francisco Metro Transit Authority have ordered the startup to cease and desist. The taxi companies filed a case basically saying the site operates without a taxi license, they don't have proper insurance, and they threaten the livelihood of taxi dispatchers because it routes around that, and taxi dispatchers, I didn't know this, but rely on tips to make a living. So the company has remained active under threat of penalties, which could include at max $5,000 per instance of operating Uber Cab and up to 90 days in jail per day that the company continues to operate. So speaking as an investor, I mean, is this the lawyers will get involved, they'll figure this out, and it's just, you know, government stifling innovation, or is there a case here to be made?
All right. So first off, I can't speak for the company, obviously.
Of course.
Through that general disclaimer, I never speak for even the companies I am lucky enough and privileged enough to invest in. Probably the biggest deal here is that they named the company well, but poorly at the same time.
Right.
So now they're just calling the company Uber.
Uber, yes.
And they've dropped the cab because, in truth, they are not getting you a cab.
It's a private car rental.
You are making a reservation with a Lincoln Town Car private car service.
Yes.
Just like you would by calling on the phone. So there is a misunderstanding here, and it'll all be fine, is what I believe. I wish more of my investments in companies would get sued, because when you're getting sued, it means you're doing something right. I mean, Facebook's got a line of people. I mean, basically, there's more people in line to sue Facebook than buy the stock.
There's a whole movie about Facebook.
I mean,
being sued
basically,
at this point,
yeah. So at this point, if you're not getting sued, something's wrong. So yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. It's a tremendous service, and it's absolutely operating within, you know, all of the regulations. It's just they had an unfortunate naming. This is my take on it. I don't know all the details, to be totally honest, although I have a couple emails that I need to read over the weekend about it. It's basically a naming issue, I think, and a perception issue.
Aligning themselves with cabs as opposed to just cars.
You know, I think it was just one of those things where you don't even think about it. That's my guess.
Uber car.
It could be Uber. I mean, it's you're reserving a Lincoln Town Car, so it's very obvious what they're doing. It's never been for yellow cabs.
Right, yeah.
So nobody's ever taken a yellow cab using Uber Cab. Tyler, any thoughts?
It was an interesting, thread on that one. To what degree they foresaw that happening. It's interesting. Travis, who is involved with one of the co-founders, was, what was it, Scour.net?
He did Scour, which
was also quite disruptive in nature.
And then he changed it to Red Swoosh, and he got bought by, it was peer-to-peer technology, and then he didn't change it. He started a new company years later called Red Swoosh, which Mark Cuban was an investor in, and then they sold to VeriSign. Mm-hmm. VeriSign? Or what's the big CDN? God, I can't remember sometimes.
Akamai?
Might have been Akamai. Anyway, he wound up selling it. So, I mean, he's got a disruptor type track record.
Right.
Let's say.
And it's something that roused the people who have a regulation on things.
Yeah, and the question in the audience, Ramviz says, can't they just buy a small cab biz with the correct licenses? I guess they could, but that's not what they want to do.
Well, and I think the insurance issue probably is even more of a cost factor than the licensing issue. If they have to get, if they're gonna be a taxi service, they then have to buy cab insurance for all their cars. I'm sure that's a
I don't think they're a reservation system.
Right.
That's all. Yeah, that's
pure and simple. Like, they're a reservation system. They have nothing to do with being a cab company or anything.
Right now, I can tell you that you can email to get cab reservations with Carry or Music Car Service if you want to, or you can text them. So it's the same thing.
Right.
Anyway, let's go on to the next story.
All right, so at their annual developer conference, PayPal debuted a new micropayments product, which they're calling an, quote, in-context, frictionless payment solution that lets consumers pay for digital goods and content in as little as 2 clicks without ever having to leave a publisher's game, news, music, video, or media site. Pricing for the new platform is 5% of the sale, plus 5 additional cents for purchases under $12. Check out some of these launch partners for the new product. Facebook, Autosport.com, FT.com, GigaOhm, Justin TV, and Ustream. Currently, over 50% of daily in-app transactions for virtual goods go through PayPal. So how significant a deal is this? And I think, what's your take on Ustream and Justin being in on this deal? Because for an online streaming video site, it's kind of interesting.
The streets are lined with people who've tried to do microtransactions. If anybody can make it work, however, it is PayPal. Because everybody has a PayPal.
Right.
And if there was a 1 or 2 click, donate 10 cents to Lon for reading the news, $1.
Please, by all means.
I know, I'm dead serious. If we put on This Weekend
for the pitches, for the startups
or Ustream, well, that would be different. You'd be fundraising. We don't want to get in that. But if it was, it would be Kickstarter, yeah. So you could actually, if we put, give $1, give 10 cents, $1, $2, $3, because Leo takes donations, but it's a reoccurring thing that they pull for This Week in Tech, and I think he's got to be making low thousands of dollars a month from that. It's not huge, but we should have on This Weekend tip the host, and it should go directly to the host, and we should stay out of it. This weekend, I think it would be an awesome little extra kicker. Like if you would like to give a tip directly to the host of this program, go right ahead and do it, and then we stay out of it. I think it's an awesome idea. I would consider doing it on Mahalo as well. Like, hey, if you really like the author of this, give a direct tip.
Yeah,
it could be like a new standard. Like I'm from Brooklyn, everybody gets tipped.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like I tipped the guy from Verizon.
It's good, like Goodfellas, or constantly geese and palms.
I've given 10 tips in a day, and none of them were to waiters. I mean, literally, I would tip the guy who came from Verizon to do extra work and this, and I got to get that done. I mean, tipping is what makes the world go round. It's not bribing. It's a way to do it. I've taught people how to do it.
You're a nice tipper. We went and got haircuts yesterday. I saw the tip.
Little tip, right?
Nice tip. That's a handsome tip.
I always said to myself, if I ever make any money, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of giving to charity, I'm going to just give huge tips. So basically I have a rule. It's 50%. I don't talk about it much, but I generally give 50% as a tip because I'm like, whatever. I'm blown out. If I'm going to eat $30 in eggs and bacon somewhere or $20 breakfast, I'll give $10, $15. Who cares? It doesn't affect me. And you know what? It makes me feel good. I feel like a winner, like it's something about, cause maybe it's because I grew up in the restaurant business and I lived off of tips. I always loved the guy who gave the biggest tip of the night. I always remembered that person, and I always just felt great. It made you feel great to get a disproportionate tip. If you give people a third, 40 or 50%, it winds up costing you $2 or $3 to $4 or $5 extra, $10 extra. In the grand scheme of things, probably not that much, but man, does it make you feel great.
A mitzvah, as the Jews would say.
I would say it's a mitzvah.
It's a mitzvah.
You can be a mention. You can do something nice for people. So anyway, this is microtransactions, correct? I mean,
yes. Right. The idea is microtransactions. So you're already in a game. You're in a site. You're watching a video, and you can just hit two buttons. Boom! It's through PayPal, automatic.
Brilliant. If they and you know what, Amazon tried to do this because they have one click.
Right.
And they tried to do a tipping jar service. Somebody can look it up, but it was probably 10 years ago, and they stopped doing it, I believe. But people in the early days of blogging, 2004, 2005, 2006, were talking about, oh my God, tipping would be the model of blogging. And I thought, you know what, it might be. But that's time to bring that back. I guarantee you, on a site like Mashable or Hackaday or any of those sites, TechCrunch, you could. I bet you if you said to MG Siegler, instead of paying you whatever he winds up getting, $30 a post, if you said to him, we'll let you just take tips and we'll pay you 20, I bet you he would make more than 10.
That's possible.
It's possible if the thing takes off, if people get used to tipping. But anyway, I like it a lot.
Yeah, people would have to get trained to start thinking
the fact that I like it a lot
way.
probably means it's not going to work. But anyway, what do you think, Tom?
It just gave me an idea that I actually will discuss with you offline.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Next story.
The next Hey Sweetheart. Already
Here we go.
Cloudera, they're the company. They make Hadoop. It's an open source software that helps websites process large amounts of data. Theirs is a slightly different and interesting business model. The software itself is free. It's open source, free software. The company makes money for charging for Hadoop training classes and professional services for sites that want to get it up and running. They've just announced a third round of funding for $25 million, led by Meritech Capital Partners, which brings their total funding to $36 million. Founded in 2008 by former Google, Yahoo, and Facebook engineers. So how effective is this strategy of they're basically making a product that they give away, and then they charge you to teach you how to use it? And do you think they'll ever have to charge for Hadoop or similar software?
No. I mean, this has been what MySQL has done, Red Hat has done. There's plenty of people who've made, I mean, it's even what IBM is doing. You give away the software for free or no cost, whether it's open source or you're just giving away software at a low cost in IBM's case or whatever, or supporting other people's open source software. And services and support are very high margin businesses. And that is the future. You may have seen today Riptano in the Wall Street Journal, which is very similar to Cloudera, except instead of using Hadoop, they're using Cassandra, which is the big NoSQL database that Mahalo, Dig, and Twitter use.
Right.
And that sort of came out of Facebook's sort of NoSQL databases. I think it was built on their description of it. Anyway, that's my final and last investment of 2010, like for the 8th time. But Sequoia wound up investing in that one. And so I think these are both going to be tremendous businesses. And you can see that Hadoop's a little bit further along, I think, than Cassandra. But both of them are going to become standards the way you hear MySQL or Apache are standards at most companies who are using in open source stuff for the internet. Huge, great opportunity.
That's roll-off that Riptano?
Yeah, I introduced Riptano to Sequoia, and they wound up investing. Yeah, it's just news came just out today. I'll have them on shortly. Question: does Jason get a finder's fee for linking Sequoia up? That's a great question. Next story.
Tips.
Tips is a tip jar. You press a button. No, I don't get any. I don't get anything. But I get investment.
You don't get to wet your beak. Come on.
This is a couple of secret things that Sequoia does for founders of their companies. That is amazingly generous. Let's just say I am able to take some of the money I have and invest it with the things that they do, sort of. It's a pretty cool thing. I mean, basically, there are 2 or 3 things that Sequoia does for their founders that because they're really founder loyal. There are 2 or 3 things they do for their founders that they don't publicize that I'm telling them they should publicize or just at least let out there, which they don't. They're sort of like, they're sort of like low key. Like we just want to do the work.
They're right.
They don't really like sort of do any press. Like they just sort of do the work, and they have big results like Zappos and all those stuff you see going on. But it's almost like the best part of being a Sequoia company is what happens after. Like as an entrepreneur, they do these 2 or 3 other things for you if you're a successful or good entrepreneur with them that I think could make an equal amount of money for you as their investment in your current company, or at least a pretty nice taste. So I'm just thrilled with them. I would, at this point, if I had any other idea, that'd be the first person I'd bring it to, and I probably wouldn't fund it with other VCs. Next story, last story. We're going to try to get this done in under 70 minutes.
Okay. Data mining by a concerned anonymous user has led to accusations that social news aggregator Dig has been gaming its own results to benefit its publishing partners. The evidence implies that 159 dummy accounts have systematically been helping out submissions from publishing partners, which include sites like TechCrunch, The Guardian, College Humor, and Boing Boing. Dig user Lieutenant General Panda gathered the information on these dummy accounts and then privately approached Dig, then waited an hour, didn't get a response back, and then published the data on his blog. At around the same time Dig was contacted by Panda, the dummy account activity mysteriously stopped. Think Dig would really stoop to this level, and why would they when they could just be transparent? I mean, they could just say, we're going to boost our partner links, and it probably wouldn't have been that huge of a deal, but if they're doing it secretly, it seems like it's a bigger deal.
Kevin's a friend of mine, so I don't take any, I'm going to wait for him to comment on it, but honestly, it does not look that good. Because it's basically and this guy did tremendous research, but basically it's like all accounts called like Digger 1, Digger 2. It's like obvious they were named.
DD1, DD2.
Yeah, I mean they're basically, they were seeding the community. It's one thing to seed your community, I think that's kind of cool, but to be voting up stories, this was sort of the war we got into long ago when I was doing Netscape as a dig clone, and I was saying, listen, you should do a little editorial layer on what gets to the top, because these systems are so easy to game that you're going to want to take out the people who have overgamed it. Like Cracked is ridiculous. They owned the front page of Dig for a long time with these like really crummy stories that really were
those like slideshow lists.
Yeah, and it's
and
just like it's so obvious that they've got like 300 or 400 people in Manila or India or in the middle of America just voting from home on some paid circle or something. There's something bizarre going on. And so what I think they're trying to do is balance out having what they wanted to do is balance out, like you're saying, having some professional content with those.
Right.
And instead of doing it by just saying publicly, listen, we're going to give some of this professional content some editorial play on the homepage because it's professionally produced by trusted sources. So the trusted sources are going to get a little bit of a boost, and then everybody else is going to fight it out for the rest of the positions, and it will be, 50-50 professional versus everything else.
It just seems like that would make sense to just say. I mean,
the problem is they already said they had a religious way of saying we're only going to allow this stuff.
Right.
And so when you get to Kevin's had a sort of religious position of the community decides. Well, what if the community gets taken over by people, which is what happened? So I have a whole thing I may write over the weekend of what I would do at Dig at this point, because it is a tremendous asset and it is savable. It doesn't, it's still got 20 million people. So the idea of oh my God, we have to save this 20 million is a resource. I mean, they're sort of getting dogged in the press, and they had the layoffs, which is really sad.
Yeah.
But
in terms of the brand name, I mean, Dig is still one of the biggest internet sort of destinations.
This is the thing I don't get. They laid off a third of their staff, but they said they're making $15 million. Well, if there's if they have 67 people, if they were making if they had $150,000 cost total all in, that would still be under 15 million. So they're like, well, we have to get profitable. We have to cut a third of the people. Well, if you only have 40 people, and they're worth 150,000 each, or even 200,000 each with the space and everything else. I don't know what their huge costs are, the server farms, whatever. I mean, you start doing the math on that, it's still well below 15 million. So I don't know that they're making 15 million. Maybe they're making more like 10 million. Or something. So anyway, whatever. I wish them luck. I think they'll do fine. Kevin's a tremendous entrepreneur. Obviously, they should have sold a little bit earlier. And obviously that, hey, this kid just is worth $60 million thing is as predicted, probably not a great idea. But that was Kevin getting played when he was younger by the press. So I have a lot of sympathy for Kevin because I think he would have sold, and they'll wind up being some Monday morning quarterback of the whole situation that will say, you know what, they should have sold to Yahoo or AOL or whatever. Because when I tried to buy Dig in 6 months after it started, in month 4 or 5, before Kevin launched 2.0, I offered him $4 million for a little bit of cash and a bunch of equity in Weblogs Inc. Then when I got to AOL, instead of doing Netscape, I said, let's buy Dig. And I say, let's offer him $50 million or $60 million for it. And I was close to getting it, but at that point in time, they weren't interested in discussing because they just raised a round of funding at 30, 40 million. So it'd be, and there's going to be some lessons in there about raising a lot of venture capital. If you raise at a very high value, you have to sell at a very high value, not always in the founder's best interest. I mean, Kevin's got his net worth, but he got to take a little bit off the thing. So anyway, I feel terrible they're getting dogged and they had to do layoffs. I think they're going to come back, and they're going to come back stronger. Tyler?
You can't rule him out. I mean, smart dude.
Exactly. And, Kevin's going to go on to his next thing, and it's going to be tremendous, too.
Well, just that name. I mean, just Dig. Like, if they come out with a great new product, everybody's going to go back, because it's still Dig. We all still have accounts. Everybody's been to Dig. Everybody knows what they do. I mean, that's...
I like the new front page, and I like the new profile page. I've been visiting it a couple times a week.
I still go to Dig all the time.
Thank you to .co. Don't you know .co is where you need to go. GoDaddy. Oh, my God, I loved GoDaddy. 10 years plus as a customer. What more do you need to know? Thank you to Storm On Demand for hosting this stuff. Thank you to Shark Tank. Thank you to our new makeup person whose name is Kale.
Kale.
Like the vegetable.
Made me look beautiful.
I mean, look at the three of us for 1 second. And now look at Tyler. And now look back at Lon.
Now back at me.
Now back at Tyler.
He's the host. Your host can smell like.
Your host of your network can't smell like this. And Lon, somebody mentions nice haircut, which we went for yesterday. Look at my haircut.
We went for.
Now look at Lon's haircut. Now back at my haircut. Now Tyler's haircut. Tyler didn't come with the haircut. We'll see you guys on Friday when James Siminoff of Phone Tag and Unsubscribe will be on the program. See you next time.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money and defeat you.